Hello and welcome to the HR Kyle podcast, the ultimate resource for HR insights and guidance that will empower both seasoned business professionals and eager job seekers. I'm HR Kyle, your host. I'm excited to embark on this journey with you. In each episode, we'll delve into the intricacies of HR management, uncovering strategies that can transform the way you approach talent acquisition, employee engagement, and workplace dynamics. Whether you're a seasoned HR pro navigating the ever-evolving landscape of human resources or a job seeker striving to land your dream position, this podcast is your compass. Our mission is simple: to provide you with actionable knowledge, expert interviews, and inspiring stories that will help you thrive in the world of HR. So, sit back, relax, and get ready to take your HR game to the next level. Welcome to the HR Kyle podcast, where HR meets success. Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of the HR Kyle podcast. I'm your host, HR Kyle, and today we have an exciting lineup in store for you. In segment 1, we'll be diving into the upcoming release of my latest book, Recruiting is Easy, where we'll explore the transformative journey through the dynamic landscape of modern recruiting. In segment 2, we'll be joined by a special guest, a workforce development professional who will share his unique insights and experiences in helping candidates find new jobs. His story is not only inspiring, but sheds light on the vital role of workforce development in today's ever-changing job market. So buckle up, folks. We've got a jam-packed episode ahead. But first, a quick word from our sponsors. Stay tuned. Greetings, I'm Kyle Smith, and I'm here to offer you a speaking experience that goes beyond the ordinary. With a rich background in leadership, HR, and personal development, I bring a unique blend of expertise and passion to every presentation. Whether it's Leadership Unleashed, well-being at work, or career mastery, I delve into topics that empower individuals and organizations to reach their fullest potential. What sets me apart? Proven expertise, an engaging delivery style, and actionable insights that drive positive change. But here's the kicker. I don't just offer a one-size-fits-all approach. I customize my content to meet the specific needs and goals of your event. So let's elevate your event together. Contact me now to reserve your date and unlock the full potential of your audience and organization. Don't miss out on the opportunity to inspire greatness. Visit hrkyle.com today. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that brief intermission. Now let's dive into segment 1, where we'll be taking a closer look at my upcoming book, Recruiting is Easy. In the pages of Recruiting is Easy, we embark on a transformative journey through an ever-evolving landscape of human resources, where traditional roles have given way to strategic employment brand ambassadors. From the outset, we illuminate the profound shifts defining modern HR, unveiling a paradigm where HR professionals shape a company's brand image and cultivate an exceptional employee experience, attracting top talent and fostering a sense of belonging within the organization. Our exploration extends beyond office walls, emphasizing the strategic importance of community engagement in shaping employment brand reputation. We delve into competitive analysis, highlighting the significance of benchmarking and leveraging data to enhance an organization's brand positioning. Through this journey, HR professionals are empowered to adapt, innovate, and build lasting connections founded on trust, empathy, and communication. Central to our discourse is the role of ongoing measurement and improvement, where metrics and data-driven insights enable HR professionals to continuously refine their strategies amidst an ever-changing landscape. We emphasize that success is not a destination, but a journey marked by milestones, sustained through a constant feedback loop with stakeholders. Ultimately, we underscore the importance of a passion for helping others succeed, recognizing that success in HR is intrinsically tied to the success of those we serve. By embracing principles of strategic branding, engagement, and continuous improvement, HR professionals are poised to shape compelling employment brands that attract top talent and drive organizational success. As the journey continues, remember that HR is not merely a department, but a strategic powerhouse shaping the future of work one relationship at a time. Your role in HR is indeed both sales and marketing, crafting an exceptional employment brand and making a difference in the world, one person at a time. That concludes my summary of my upcoming book, Recruiting is Easy, which you'll be able to find on most major online retailers, such as Kindle and Amazon, to name a few. I hope you'll take a look and find the book valuable and add it to your collection. That concludes segment one of today's episode, where we delved into the upcoming release of my latest book, Recruiting is Easy. Stay tuned, though, because when we come back from the break, we'll be joined by our special guest who will share his invaluable insights into workforce development and helping candidates find new jobs. We'll be right back to the HR Kyle podcast after this brief break. Hey there, HR Kyle listeners. Before we go to your regularly scheduled break, I've got some exciting news for you. My book, Recruiting is Easy, is now available on Amazon. Yes, you heard it right. So if you're ready to dive into the world of recruiting and learn some game-changing strategies, simply head over to Amazon and search for Recruiting is Easy. Don't miss out on this opportunity to level up your recruiting game. And happy reading.
Are you striving to lead your team to success? Or perhaps you're navigating the complexities of the job market. Introducing The Solution, the HR Kyle YouTube channel. Your go-to source for insightful guidance and practical tips. With short 1 to 2 minute clips, our videos save you time while delivering impactful, usable strategies. From effective leadership techniques to mastering the job application process, access valuable advice in minutes. Don't miss out. Subscribe to the HR Kyle channel on YouTube today.
Welcome back, listeners. I hope you enjoyed that short break. Now let's move on to segment 2 of today's episode, or what I always call my favorite segment of the show. In this segment, we have a special guest joining us, a workforce development professional who will share his experiences and insight into assisting candidates in finding new jobs. So without any further delay, Kim, welcome to the HR Kyle podcast.
Hi, Kyle. Thank you for having me tonight.
No, it's great to have you here, Kim. So Kim, I always start off with an easy question and then I make it get really difficult after this. So the easy question for tonight is, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so like you had alluded to before, I am a workforce development specialist. I've been in the workforce development business for a little bit over 5 years now, about 5.5 years, and really enjoy it. Get a lot of gratitude out of what I do for a living. I had previously been in the sports industry for a very long duration of my early professional career, and as we'll get deeper into this podcast, I'll kind of explain that journey of how I transitioned from one industry to the other.
Well, Kim, appreciate the introduction there. And again, it's great to have you today. As I say, gosh, it feels like every episode, all of us have a unique career story to tell, and yours certainly falls into that category. You mentioned working in the sports industry to start your career, and at that point in time, I know you were working in media relations and communications, but then at a point, obviously, you transitioned to career development. One, what led to that transition? And number two, what would you share with others transitioning their careers?
Yeah, so Kyle, that's a very, very good question. I don't know that there was a time that I can really pinpoint, like when I decided that I wanted to transition careers, but short story. So I used to work for a Division I school in the Sun Belt Conference. This was back in 2015, 2016. It was at Louisiana Lafayette, and I was working with one of the teams I was assigned to working with was the women's basketball team. So I got assigned to traveling with the team and doing press releases and helping the stats people with scoring games and providing information for like the radio broadcast team and all that. all that job that entailed. But during that portion of my career, traveling with the team, I developed really good relationships with coaches and student athletes to be able to do my job. So I got to know everybody, relatively well on a personal level. I remember this one road trip, we were eating breakfast together, like in the hotel lobby, and sitting with a couple of the basketball players, and they were just kind of talking about their classes and how, some of them were a little more difficult than others, or they were having really tough time with some of the material or some of the papers that they were writing. I just thought to myself how cool it would be, because I was kind of at that point where what I was doing as a media relations person, it's a very thankless position. There's a lot of background work that goes into that role, a lot of thankless work that goes into that position to be able to provide, media outlets and TV and radio people, the information to be able to put broadcasts together to, reach out to fans and connect with fans on what's going on with their team. I just thought how cool it would be to be in a career where I could work with a student athlete as like a academic advisor, because they were talking about how they're working with like their academic advisors for help with their classes or study groups or whatnot. So I thought to myself, man, I wonder how I could get into a job like that, where I'd be making a positive impact on people's lives, and doing something in that capacity. Well, there's only so many of those academic advisory roles in intercollegiate athletics. So to end this story, I ended up moving back home in 2016, here to Ohio, and I took some just temporary jobs just to kind of build up some experience, like doing like customer service jobs, because I told friends of mine that I wanted to try to transition to something new, and ended up happening where I got some temporary customer service work through a friend who worked in HR for a claims, like a disaster claims company, and that kind of got the ball rolling on getting my career pushed in a completely different direction where I could, build into something, long-term and sustainable. So while I was doing this, I was actually, I had registered to become a customer with Ohio Means Jobs, Summit County, job seeker services. So I was working with an employment specialist to try to help me with, figuring out what I could possibly do for another career and how I could, make that transition. And it ended up being that, maybe a year and a half later, my position with my current company opened up, that I got referred to through my employment specialist I was working with. So that's the long version of that first portion of your question. Could you actually repeat the second part of your question there, Kyle?
No, I certainly can, Kim. With what you've experienced and love your story, and I think there's a wonderful message there for anyone listening. But based upon that, what would you share with others who are looking to transition in their careers?
Just from my personal experience, look into something that you're going to be passionate about, because if you're not going to feel passionate about what you're doing, it's going to show in the work that you do, in your demeanor every day, and your work ethic. We've all had jobs where, we don't love that particular job, and it probably shows. But if you are lucky enough to be able to have an occupation that you get some degree of satisfaction out of, and you feel like you're making a positive impact, in the world and what you do, that goes a long way. And that's going to show in your demeanor every day and your enthusiasm and just the overall effect that you have on those around you. And your managers are going to notice it as well. And that's how you move up in the workforce world.
Kim, great advice there, as I mentioned. And I think it's important for those listeners out there who are in the position that you were 7, 8 years ago, to where you knew you wanted to make a change. You had a general idea of what you were looking for, but it still was a matter of putting that plan in place. And you did that. And even by doing so, it sounded like it took you about a year from the time of starting to execute the plan to really land where you wanted to be longer term. And again, I think there's a good message there for those that listen, that the patience is worth it if you're moving towards that longer term goal that you're seeking. I think the other piece of advice, and I'm so glad you shared because we talked about it in another episode, is taking an assessment personally to say, what are the things that I enjoy doing? What are the things that excite me, that I am willing to get up day in and day out and go and perform? And that's just some wonderful advice. I'm glad to hear that you went through that exercise, because I think it's helped you to land in the spot where you are now. And just for our listeners out there, I've worked with Kim now for a couple of years, and I can assure you, Kim's had a very positive impact on those customers or those clients that he's worked with, those job seekers. So he's definitely where he should be, and in chasing his passion, he's found it. So Kim, thank you for sharing that. Well,
Absolutely.
you're very welcome. So Kim, you've worked obviously with a lot of employees in a lot of different industries. That's the nature of your work. What are some commonalities that you see across different industries and jobs that candidates need to be aware of as they search for new jobs?
Sure. Um, I can think of two right off the bat. I think I learned this through my career in working in the sports industry was, one is adaptability. Being around, having worked around like coaches and, athletes, student athletes, they're always adapting, every day from like game to game, practice to practice. No day is the same. No game plan is the same that they roll out for a specific opponent. You always have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to adapt through a game, because you can be winning, you can be losing. Nothing is going to stay stagnant. So I would say I've learned how to be adaptable, in my job, and especially during COVID times. I pretty much had to relearn a completely different way of how to do my job. When the pandemic hit, I went from working in the office 100% to working from home remotely 100% and having to learn Zoom. Obviously, like a lot of people, nobody knew what Zoom was. Nobody knew what Microsoft Teams was. We had to learn different software for being able to register job seekers for our services without being in the same room with them. It presented a lot of challenges, but being adaptable to learn how to deliver services in just as an effective way in person, really helped me grow professionally. And it's something that you can reference in future interviews if you want to, work your way up. You can reference ways that you adapted to, a challenge, or provide an example of dealing with difficult circumstances, things like that. The other skill that I would attest to, I guess, just having like a really good work ethic. I know that even that can be kind of like a duh answer, but again, coming from a sports background, in order to be able to play sports at the highest level, you have to have a strong work ethic. You obviously have to have skill and talent, but work ethic does go a long way. I think having a strong work ethic, growing up, developing a strong work ethic has helped me be in the position I'm in at this point in my career. There's lots of days where everybody wakes up and they just say, oh my gosh, I don't want to go to my job today, or can't take anymore. Like, this job is just getting so hard, and I'm tired, and I got things I need to deal with that are bogging me down. But if you show that strong work ethic and you're indispensable to your employer, you're able to take on additional work, you're willing to take on the additional work, like, those are the things that don't go unnoticed by the people you work for, the people you work with, that ultimately will help you climb the ladder and progress in your career. So adaptability and work ethic, I would highly recommend to young professionals out there that are just entering the workforce, getting out of school. Stand by those two qualities. I think you'll be in good shape.
Great advice. And listeners, I hope you're taking notes as Kim is providing this information, because it's definitely advice that really applies to anyone at any stage in their career. The whole concept of being resilient, working through the highs and lows, and it's the inevitable lows. You're going to have those low moments, as Kim shared, but then also continuing day in, day out to demonstrate that work ethic. So wonderful shares.
Mm.
Well, Kim, I'm going to come at this from the other side. What are some issues that you see from candidates that you believe are keeping them from obtaining the jobs they're after?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I don't think there's a one size fits all answer for this question, Kyle. I think there's a number of different potential barriers that people can run into. Obviously, I think confidence is one. Some people that I have worked with on their job search path, some people maybe aren't confident they're able to do a job that they interview for, or they're not confident in interviewing for a job that they're interested in. I think that has a lot to do with it. And I've personally have experienced that myself as well. I think that has a lot to do with it, is just being confident in your abilities and being able to express that confidence through an interview for a job that you want. The other thing I would say, what a lot of people run into is there's different barriers. I think one of those is external factors. Like, a lot of people can run into issues where they don't have the proper transportation to get to and from a job, right? So that's obviously a big hurdle to get over if you don't have a reliable vehicle, or you're not on the bus line to get to and from a job. That can be a significant barrier to being successful in a job. Your best ability is availability, right? But the other major thing that I've seen with people and them being able to achieve their goals is, again, it's hard because I've seen so many scenarios with individuals. Yeah, I would just say, again, going back to like the work ethic part of a previous question that we had discussed, I think some people, they just give up easier than others, or things might be going well for a couple weeks or a couple months, and then they run into a rough patch and they say, well, that's it, I'm gonna try to find something else, or try to take the easy way out. And yeah, truthfully, there's no easy road to success, especially in professional world. So no matter where you go or where you are, you're gonna have to get through the hard times. And yeah, I definitely think that that's one significant area that a lot of people do struggle with, is persevering through difficult times when it's just easy just to run out the door and go to another job, because the demand for workers is so high right now. The number of jobs right now are outnumbering the number of people that want those jobs. So it's very easy to obtain employment today and jump from job to job.
Very true. And to your point, in the long run, they may actually be setting themselves back by making those moves, or at least making them so quickly without, as you shared, being resilient, working through the situation, persisting through a little bit of difficulty, so they end up on the other side in a better spot.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right.
Well, Kim, you lead into my final question for you tonight really well. And I know the market has been pretty fertile as it relates to candidates, but we're starting to see it get a little bit tighter over these last few months. what would you tell those candidates who've been searching for a new job for several months? And I know a few and I communicate with them where it's been 4, 5, 6 months or longer. They've applied to hundreds of jobs, but they still
Hmm.
haven't landed their next role. What advice would you share to them?
I would say, and this is just speaking from personal experience, is don't let the no's that you get from people, don't let those no's deter you or discourage you, because in all honesty, the best thing that might happen to you is for somebody to tell you no for a job that you might really want or an opportunity that you might think is perfect for you. Because lots of times what you think is good for you might end up being a very not ideal situation. So you just have to put that in the back of your mind, that the right opportunity is out there for everybody. Yeah, and it can be tough to think that, especially if you're going on 5, 6, 7, 8 months of job interviewing and getting rejections. And the average job search does, I think, doing research, it might change, but generally the average person looks for a job for 5 or 6 months, somewhere in that range. So you always have to keep that in mind too. Everybody's different and everybody's situation is different, but just try to remember that with every no, it's just going to lead you to the right yes for you.
Kim, thank you for that advice because I know there's more than a few listeners out there that are working through that right now. And I think the best point that you made was that there is something out there for that person, and being persistent gets them one step closer.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, folks, that wraps up segment 2 of today's episode. I want to extend a huge thank you to our guest, Kim, for sharing his valuable insights with us. Kim, thank you for joining us today on the HR Kyle podcast.
Thank you again for Kyle for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Pleasure. Well, unfortunately, that's all we have time for today. To all of our listeners from around the world, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the HR Kyle podcast. Remember, we do these episodes for you. So whether you're seeking personal or professional growth, navigating your career path, or looking for your next opportunity, stay focused on your goals, stay grounded in your values, and most importantly, stay tuned to the HR Kyle podcast for more empowering conversations and insights to guide you on your journey to success. Well, that's a wrap for today's episode of the HR Kyle podcast. We hope you found our discussion valuable and filled with insights that you can apply in your professional journey. Whether you're a business leader aiming to foster a thriving workplace or a job seeker looking to carve out your own path, remember that HR Kyle is the compass that can guide you towards success. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share it with your network. We're committed to being your trusted source for HR wisdom, and we look forward to having you back with us for our next episode. Remember, in the world of HR and professional growth, there's always room for progress. Be sure to visit our website at hrkyle.com. That's hrkyle.com to learn more about how we can help you meet your business and professional goals. So until next time, this is HR Kyle signing off. Stay motivated, stay informed, and keep reaching for those career goals. Music provided by bensound.com. That's bensound.com.